This is the Matt Painter Show. Here is your host, Rob Blackman.
Well, hi, everyone, and good evening, and welcome to a special edition of the Matt Painter Radio Show, because tonight we greet you on a Tuesday. Same location, walk-ons, here in the Purdue Memorial Union, and, of course, our same great presenting sponsor in GEMCO. But a little bit of a change on the schedule this week, moving the show from Monday to Tuesday. And for those that have gone out of their way to join us on this Tuesday, we say thank you for that. I am Rob Blackman. I'll be hosting tonight with the head coach of the Boilermakers, Matt Painter, and we certainly have a lot to talk about over these next 55 minutes. Purdue 8-0 on this young season, currently ranked number 4, according to the latest Associated Press college basketball poll. 2 wins since we have last spoken. Last Wednesday night, Purdue winning on the road at Florida State 79-69, and then winning the Big Ten opener on Sunday afternoon at Mackey Arena 89-70. Both of those games, the Boilermakers certainly played at a high level, including the play of Zach Edey, who was really, really good in that, that Minnesota game on Sunday with 22 rebounds to go along with 31 points. We'll talk to Coach Painter about that effort for sure. Plus, we'll also talk about some of the other players that have really stepped up their game here in the last week or so. So lots to talk about with the coach, but I do not have to be the only one that asks the questions. You certainly can be a part of the program as well by calling us at 1-888-246-2678, 1-888-246-2678 if you would like to join Coach Painter and offer up your thoughts or questions on what you've seen so far from our Boilermakers. This is the Matt Painter Show, presented as always by GEMCO. When we come back, we'll visit with a coach. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Talon Cooper, nice feed to Ola Joseph, and right there is Zach Edey to deny it.
Braden Carrington inadvertently caught his shoulder to the mouth down there, scrambling. Good duck in by, nice job, wonderful job in the post.
Kaufman Wren again going on Ola Joseph, and that's his third, and a chance for a three-point play for Kaufman Wren.
Ola Joseph did a pretty good job of holding his ground, but watch his arms right here. They break down just enough. He did not maintain. They're both up there in the top 3 or 4 in the conference.
And Wisconsin picked in the bottom third of the conference last year. Ended up tying for a share of the lead of it. There's Kaufman Wren, who was left alone. And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed, right? Because he had his hands up.
Say Braden Smith's done a nice job on Talon Cooper. Lawyer finishes the fast break.
Now they're rotating doubles. They're trying to give Edey a different look. Nice job by Payne.
Payne on the denial. Edey got it back, and a chance for a three-point play.
Looked like they might have been able to stop the initial thrust, but how about the great hands and the chance for an and one?
Edey left alone. Oh, come on! Smith with no points today. He got a lot from Lawyer and, of course, a ton from Zach Edey. Jenkins just does beat the shot clock.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Show, presented by GEMCO, live at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Rob Blackman here, thanking you for joining us here on a Tuesday night. Again, normally, of course, you find us on Mondays. We will be back with the Coach Painter Show next Monday, by the way, so back to the regular schedule next week with a Monday night show, 6 o'clock right here at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Let's visit with the Purdue coach after Purdue wins twice last week, once over Florida State, as I mentioned a moment ago, and then winning the Big Ten opener Sunday against Minnesota. Coach, let's start with Florida State. First true road test of the season. Granted, it wasn't an overly hostile environment, but when you have a young ball club, you're never quite sure what you might see from a young team. And maybe a little shaky early, am I fair in saying that, but really settled in, especially in those last 5 or 7 minutes of the game.
Yeah, I thought we finished the game well. we had some really open looks to start the game, and it just didn't go down. And we've had that happen. Sometimes it's a little bit of careless play, and we got to settle into the game like you mentioned. But we got some open looks right away from about 3 different people, and shots just weren't, falling for us. But we hung in there, and I thought defensively we did some good things. And, they had struggled shooting the ball, and in that first half they didn't. They made some tough shots. Green made some tough shots. Matthew Cleveland got going. They both ended up with over 20 or more points in the game. So, we had to settle in. We had to take care of the basketball. We kept getting the ball at the rim and either getting our shot blocked or missing it. So we were getting the ball where we wanted to get it on offensive rebounds and also post-ups. And we didn't do a great job of playing off of 2 feet and making the extra pass. And when we did do that, we were successful. We had a lot of good things happen. But at the end, I just thought Braden and Fletch, did a good job of breaking down the defense and getting in there and playing off of 2 feet. And then when they saw open drives where they didn't have to, they both were able to drive and get some easy ones. Zach got a couple easy ones. And that's what you have to be able to do. Then we made a couple threes to go on top of that, and that's how we got the separation.
You mentioned Fletcher and Braden and their decision-making. Between the two of them, 11 assists and 2 turnovers. Not bad for your first road trip ever in big-time college basketball.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And that's what you need. You need guys to be able to take care of the basketball, give you a chance. You're going to have games where your shots don't go down. That happens to everybody, but you can still make good decisions. You can still take care of the basketball. And anytime you're taking good shots, you're normally going to have pretty good rebound balance. And now, even if it doesn't go in, you got a chance to get on the offensive glass.
11 turnovers for a team in Florida State that pressures the way they do. And they make every catch a tough catch, no matter where it is on the floor. I kind of felt like 11 turnovers you can live with when you're playing a team like Florida State.
No question. Yeah, I think that's probably a good number, just kind of hovering around 10, and that's where you would like it. Normally 8 turnovers, a little bit less, is going to lead the nation in fewest amount of turnovers. So, if you can keep your turnovers, I write on the board every day, every game, 4 turnovers and a half. If you can have it at 4 turnovers a half and keep it at 8, that's what your goal should be. Your goal should be the best in the country, and that's where we were about 10 years ago. We couldn't rebound, but we had the best team in the country. But you normally see somebody, John Beeline's teams, great guard, Bo Ryan. You normally see a Big Ten team either winning it or being right there.
You mentioned rebounding. 46 rebounds to 31 for Florida State. That's plus 15. I'll do the simple math in my head, man.
Good job, Rob. You've come far.
took me a moment. Plus 15 on the glass, 15 extra possessions, man. That'll win you a lot of games on the road.
No question. Anytime you can control the glass and then, like you said, have the 11 turnovers, you're definitely putting yourself in a good position.
All right, so what about Zach Edey? And, look, he had a monster game Sunday against Minnesota. We will talk about that. 25 points, 8 rebounds against Florida State. On 14 shots. It wasn't like he had 30 attempts. He was 11 of 14 shooting. And it looked to me early in the game, and certainly please tell me if I'm wrong, it looked to me early in the game like Florida State had decided no matter what, Zach Edey's not beating us. We're going to make everyone else beat us.
Right.
Yet he still ended up with 25 points.
Yeah. They swarmed him, and like I said, we had some really good open looks, and then I think they adjusted a little bit and went one-on-one. He hit a couple really tough hook shots, over their 7'4" kid. And they were big-time shots. And so, the thing that we have to be able to do is you watch film and you say this is how a team's going to play you, but yet they don't have somebody like Zach. So you ultimately don't know how they're going to play you.
Right.
But there's only so much you can do. You can sag in ball side, you can come weak side, you can designate something, you can come baseline side. But whatever you do, he has gotten so good at taking his time and not forcing things. When they do double team, he's able to go over the top of them and make those passes and just keep it simple. We've had the same rule ever since we got, Carl Landry. When you're one-on-one, you score, and when you're double teams, you pass. Pretty profound, huh? And so, but you'd be amazed at when they make mistakes. They make mistakes when they're just not aggressive one-on-one, or they try to be too aggressive when there's an extra person there. Just keep the game simple. You get 2 people on the ball, get it moving. If not, be aggressive and try to score it.
Something else I think I've seen, and again, please help me with this. It appears there are times when Zach will catch it in the post. They will run a double team at him, but he'll be very patient with the ball, and the guy double teaming will leave.
Yeah.
And then he'll go ahead and score. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, they're just not used to doing it. And so they're just trying to disrupt him, get him bottled up, and then kind of bounce off of him. And then so that now that they're not in the rotation and they can go match up, and then he just kind of takes his time and waits, and then uses his dribble and backs that guy down. And if they come again, like we always talk about, he has such a high dribble being so big. And so you want him to crouch as much as possible to try to diminish that to the best ability. But right as you see that they're coming and you're in your dribble, man, get two hands on the basketball, secure the basketball, and make a simple play.
Oh, he's been making a lot of those. He certainly has made them in the last couple of ball games for Purdue. That is for certain. Hey, everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons here in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. More with Coach Painter in a moment. The Coach Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Talon Cooper, nice feed to Ola Joseph, and right there is Zach Edey to deny it.
But I really like the set by Minnesota, just the ability at 7-4 to impact the game so much on both ends of the floor.
Edey just took it away from Talon Cooper.
The chances of success were much greater.
Minnesota 1 for 8 from three-point land so far. Edey goes to work and finally gets one to fall.
He understands positioning as well as anybody in the country. Able to get over that left shoulder with the right hand, that's usually the result. He may have to be a little bit more of a scorer himself rather than a facilitator.
His first bucket of the game, the transfer from Morehead State. Nice move by Edey. And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed. Right? Because he had his hands up.
Edey isolated on Pharrell Payne. Battle now with 11. He's hit 3 threes. All 3 of the team's threes. Edey went right to work on Ola Joseph. Inside again to Edey. Too easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, he ducks in. Ola Joseph.
Deep in the paint, Edey again. He's at his average.
Now they're rotating doubles. They're trying to give Edey a different look. Nice job by Payne.
Payne on the denial. Edey got it back and a chance for a three-point play.
Looked like they might have been able to stop the initial thrust, but how about the great hands and the chance for an and one?
Edey left alone. Oh, come on!
Hey, Purdue fans, your Purdue Boilermakers are heading to Indianapolis to face Davidson as part of the Indy Classic. It's coming up Saturday, December 17th at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. With Mackey Arena sold out for the rest of the season, this will be your chance to see the Boilermakers in person. Log on to Ticketmaster.com. Use the promo code 10PURDUE for $10 off any ticket, and that's up to 4 tickets per purchase. So let's pack Gainbridge Fieldhouse with Purdue fans for the Indy Classic December 17th. Again, you go to Ticketmaster.com. You use the promo code 10PURDUE. That's T-E-N, Purdue, on the website there. Matt Painter is here for the Coach Painter Show. I'm Rob Blackman. You can visit with the coach by calling us at 1-888-246-2678. All right, Coach, we talked a little bit about the win over Florida State in the Big Ten ACC Challenge. Now Sunday's game against Minnesota. Purdue winning 89-70 over the Golden Gophers. And again, Zach Edey may have put together one of the most impressive performances in Purdue basketball history. 31 points and 22 rebounds. He literally, to me, looked unstoppable. And I thought he struggled in the first 3 or 4 minutes of the game when he missed some pretty easy shots.
Yeah, he started off the game 1 for 7.
1 for 7,
which makes it even more impressive that, he was able to kind of regroup. And, sometimes it happens. It's definitely happened with Braden and Fletch. Like, you kind of start off a game and, you just don't get into it. But, a lot of times you don't get into it because you don't get very many opportunities. Well, Zach does get opportunities.
Yeah.
And so But going to the bench and sitting there for 2, 3, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it might be, helps you watch it, helps you kind of settle into it, and just kind of, take your time. And, you talked about it earlier, like each post-up is going to be a little bit different. Like sometimes, you can go quickly and just make a move, and sometimes you got to wait, and then sometimes you got to pass. You have to read the defense and just take what they give you and be a decision maker. That's why a lot of people don't throw it to their big guys, because they're good enough to score, they're good enough to do things, but they're not great decision makers.
Yeah.
We work really hard on those guys and their decision making. That's probably the last thing that comes, is that decision making. But his ability to dominate the glass, like even if he's not scoring, when you're getting 22 rebounds, you're getting more rebounds than the other team. You're obviously making a pretty significant difference.
22 rebounds for Zach. Minnesota as a team had 21. I didn't know it at the time. It was a little foreshadowing, but on the broadcast I mentioned that with it being Terry Dissinger bobblehead night, he once in a game against Minnesota had 22 rebounds. Now he also had 46 points in that game against Minnesota, but little did I know Zach could also be getting 22 rebounds. But you mentioned his decision-making. Of all the things that have impressed me so much with Zach and in his level of improvement this season from last season, is his decision-making the most impressive as far as improvement?
Yeah, his his ability to rebound in traffic is pretty impressive. But yeah, because he was, he wasn't a defunct rebounder when he got here. He wasn't a great rebounder, but he was okay. He could still go after the basketball, and he's gotten, much better, in that area. As ball screen defense have gotten better, but like passing, like we remember the first Liberty game, like it was so impressive. 15 points, about 6-7 rebounds, but about 5 turnovers, a couple offensive fouls, a couple pick sixes. Like, he just struggled at first 4 or 5 games, and it kind of shows you how he is. Then after that 6th game, he kind of adjusted, and he'd have an offensive foul every blue moon or a turnover every blue moon. But, he's done a much better job. Obviously, he had a tough game in the NCAA tournament, with some turnovers. And you just got to keep learning, and you got to keep getting better from it. And that's the thing about him. Like, he makes adjustments from game to game and kind of understands the differences, especially with double teams.
What about the play of Fletcher Lawyer in that win over Minnesota? The 20 points is impressive, certainly 8 assists, no turnovers. But, Coach, 11 shots for Fletcher, and only 4 were threes. Right. So much for the, for the thought that, well, he's just a three-point shooter. Well, he's certainly much more than that.
Right. No, he's got a good in-between game. He can get to the basket. He can, he just kind of takes what, the defense gives him. He's got a nice pull-up. Like to see him, keep moving, as much as possible, because the other night was a little different. They just stayed one-on-one for the most part. Not everybody will do that. But then you saw him at the end of the game, he got that pull-up right in the lane, coming off that curl, trying to get more action. Now, it requires people actually screening. And so sometimes we get into a habit of watching, when we just throw the ball inside to Zach. We have to have a balance of good movement along with good post feeds.
Minnesota played you zone just a couple 3 possessions, if I remember correctly. Mm-hmm. Do you think you see more zone as we get deeper into the Big Ten season, or do you have a gut feeling for that?
I think people will mix things up if they have that. I also think people that don't do it much, that go to it more or less, are saying that they don't have a very good matchup.
Yeah.
And we have good shooters, on our team. I don't think we have shot at the clip that we're capable of. Right. So I think that comes. And so, just trying to get as many rhythm shots as we can against that zone, but also attacking it, in the high post and the low post.
All right, here we go. The $64 million question. Defensively, do you feel like you're making some strides? Because I know really early in the season, we're talking exhibition season, you were not overly impressed with your defense. Do you feel like you're making some strides?
I feel like we're making strides in when we scheme or we go into a scouting report and what we're doing, we do a better job of following the scouting report. That's where we've made improvements, but we've also made improvements in our competitive spirit. So when the ball gets loosed or long rebounds or deflections, things like that, we've done a better job. We're not perfect, but we've done a better job of getting those 50-50 balls. And that's so important, being able to rebound, being able to get those 50-50 balls and just having active hands, but also being in the right place. If you start right, you got a better chance of finishing right. But if you start wrong, you start in the wrong place, you're playing catch-up. A lot of times when you're behind plays defensively, that's where you get fouls. That's where you give up layups. You're at an advantage. You want to stay with the ball in front of you, and you want to stay out of rotations to the best of your ability. Now, it's tough sometimes because we double the post, or we'll get aggressive on a ball screen, and now you got to get into a rotation because you want the ball out of someone's hands.
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Show. They're a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. If you'd like to visit with Coach tonight, here's your chance. Give us a call at 1-888-246-2678. Also, thanks to those watching tonight on Facebook Live or maybe Twitter Live or the YouTube channel. You can also pass along some questions on those different mediums as well, and we'll try to get those to the coach. But for the moment, we'll take a break. This is the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Vacate a zone, then we're going to exploit it. First down at the 48. Jones, the other side now. Charlie Jones, first down and more. From the 38 this time. Play fake. O'Connell guns it. Wide open. Charlie Jones. And this time it's Tracy. Hits the edge. Another first down. Tracy. The B. Lines up as the deep man in the I formation. They'll give it to him. Plowing forward. No signal yet.
I think that was Jenkins who makes the initial tackle. Yeah, that's 94. Oh, did he get that ball across, Gus? Did you see that ball pop across?
It looks like it did.
It looks like it.
And they run it. Iowa diving. Excuse me, Purdue diving. And that's 48. Play fake. O'Connell delivers. Caught at the Aiden O'Connell in the pocket. Oh, what a strike. Aiden O'Connell throws a beautiful ball, and Purdue will take it all the way down. Finneran.
To Charlie Jones.
Second and 6. Over the middle. And this ball is caught by Sheffield. Will get out of bounds at midfield.
And then on Monday, he puts the list up and they check off everyone they got. He said it's amazing how many they check off each Monday.
This one caught. Charlie Jones. And Jones out of bounds. Nice throw, nice catch. Behind O'Connell. Here they fake the pitch back. Maccabee with running room. Gets a first down and more. Maccabee hurdling. And it'll be down.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show, presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Purdue Global is Purdue's accredited and affordable online solution for working adults. Persistence pays off at Purdue Global. Time now for our Pro Boilers feature, where we look at how a former Purdue student-athlete is doing in their professional sports career. Pro Boilers presented by Indiana Kitchen Premium Pork Products. Get to know us at indianakitchen.com. Both our Pro Boilers and Indiana Kitchen are boiler-made. And tonight, we salute Anthony Brown, the former Boilermaker DB, who is now a defensive back for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm bringing up Anthony because he played awfully well in their victory over the Colts on Sunday night. The problem for Anthony, he did get injured late in that game. Hopefully it's not a bad injury, but we'll keep our fingers crossed there. 41 tackles on the year, 6 pass deflections for Anthony Brown. And by the way, if you do get a chance, I would suggest you go to ESPN.com and read the comments made about Anthony by his teammates, Dak Prescott included, when they were told of his injury in that Colts game and just how much he means to that Dallas Cowboy locker room. Some really, really glowing comments on Anthony Brown from his Dallas Cowboy teammates. Worth the read, I would suggest, at the NFL page at ESPN.com. So Anthony Brown, a tip of the cap to you. Coach Matt Painter here as we're talking Purdue basketball tonight on the Matt Painter Radio Show. Coach, got a question via the Facebook live feed from Brian. Do you feel your team is getting better at breaking the full court press?
Yeah, I think our guys have done a great job all year. We've seen probably more zone press than we have man-to-man. A lot of people do that 1-2-2 or that 2-2-1. just try to kind of slow you down. But I think our guys have done a really good job with that.
From a, I guess from a strategy standpoint, the obvious answer is you try to get the ball in the hands of your best decision makers and best ball handlers. But there are times, obviously, when those big guys have to come into the backcourt to catch a ball to get you into some type of a press breaker. How much is that emphasized, or does it just matter what the defense is doing to you?
It matters what the defense is doing. So when they go in a zone press, and they're all a little bit different, but when it's a 1-2-2, obviously people will offset it with 2 guards. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. It just depends on what we're doing. And now you really try to look for those long diagonals or that 4 steps out of the middle. But if they come and get aggressive, that 4 has really got to shorten the distance and come up. If not, he wants to stretch him out and get deep. Then that opposite wing wants to get long opposite at that time. We've thrown that a couple times and then just posted Zach and just thrown it right into Zach while they're trying to get back and set their half-court man defense. Some people will do the 1-2-2 zone press and then go back to a zone or the 2-2-1. And some people go back to a man. Sometimes it's a little bit harder going back to a man, especially if that ball's moving and trying to match up and get the matchups that you want. So that's about the only thing for us is just trying to figure out like what we can run, what we can get into, because all they're really trying to do, besides the ones that are really aggressive, is just take time off the shot clock. Right.
And I've heard you talk to our team about this. When you guys break the press, you want to be aggressive, right? You don't want to just break the press and set up offense. If you have numbers, you want to go.
Yeah, and some of the basic rules, and it's really simple, is like we're going to take open threes, dunks, and layups.
Yeah.
Don't take tough twos. Don't take runners. Don't take floaters. That's what they want.
Right.
Make sure your threes are wide open and they're not contested. Anything right at the rim we're going to take and be able to live with. But that, it depends on their philosophy and it depends on what they're doing. But a lot of them are just trying to speed you up when they get aggressive, and the other ones are the opposite. They're not trying to get vulnerable right there to where they're going to get behind the play. They're just trying to take time off the clock.
On a somewhat related note, often late in games when our club has been leading, the opposition has gone to full court pressure, and if they don't get a takeaway, they're fouling, which has been great for us because as a team, and you know this, our team free throw percentage right around 77 or so. I mean, that is excellent for a team.
Yeah, and that's what you want, obviously. You just don't want to put yourself in a vulnerable position, especially right as you cross it at half, because now people kind of hold it, and then if you're on the sideline, they're going to come with that quick trap, and you got to be able to step to the basketball or step to an opening. So you want to do your best at breaking it, but also keeping it centered. And keep it in guys' hands. Obviously, we're going to have people in the game that can shoot free throws, but sometimes you'll have a guy or two that you'll have in the game because you need him to guard, you need him to be on the offensive end, and they're not in that foul position, and then there's no dead balls, and then all of a sudden it gets to a foul, situation, and they foul, and you say, well, why do you have him in the game? You're like, well, he's the only guy that can guard Evan Turner. It's like something something like that. And you're like, well, like that's so it can get a little dicey sometimes. I know fans always want the best free throw shooters in the game at that time, but in reality, where you get hurt more than anything is you get hurt if someone's a really good free throw shooter, but he's not a great handle. He's not a great passer. Yeah. So like now you're like, well, why don't you have him in the game? He shoots 80% from the line. Well, he can't handle pressure. He's not good, stepping through a trap. Then you have someone who's a little bit less, like say high 60s, but he doesn't turn the ball over. Then he misses a free throw, and then you look like a buffoon. But you just got to gauge it. You just got to kind of play the numbers to the best of your ability.
If you'd like to talk with Coach Painter tonight, here's the phone number, 1-888-246-2678. We pause for a moment. Coach Painter Show brought to you by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Still making things difficult.
Yeah, the shooting percentages tonight, both teams well below their averages on the season.
Petrie hangs in the air and gets it to go. And Petrie keeping them in it.
Just saw that little shift and fake left that I think makes the difference in her game, and a big difference between the first and the second quarter.
She was 0 for 3 in the first quarter, all 7 points here in the second, and add some more.
But only 5 points off of them. Purdue doing much more with their defensive effort. And here's another one right here, the takeaway by Petrie.
Back-to-back turnovers on either side as Terry, her eyes lighting up. That is the Purdue.
She had a slow start in that game against Georgia Tech, but it was the third quarter that she exploded, and Michigan State would love to see her do it here.
Petrie taking it right at McDaniel. At 6, teams have not been separated by more than 2 possessions. Harper brings her shot out and knocks down her first 3 of the game.
Well, we've seen the activity of Harper down on the block, but now she's stepping out. Good spacing right now by the Boilermakers, really spreading out the floor.
Cassidy Harden, quick trigger, yes! They've led by as many as 16 in the third quarter as Ellis stops on a dime and up and in.
Gets that ball fake again, just those little things that got her open.
A 2-point lead for Purdue, knocked out of bounds. The defense by Purdue. The shot they're looking for.
But there's that extra effort again by Walton and also by Harden, keeping that alive.
Petrie up and under, working the post like a big. Petrie dishes it out. Harden, some hesitation. She'll miss fire, and who's getting the rebound but Janae?
GEMCO Constructors is supporting your Boilermakers as the presenting sponsor of the Matt Painter Radio Show. They're a proud partner of Purdue Athletics. GEMCO Constructors says boiler up. If you'd like to talk with Coach Painter tonight, please give us a call at 1-888-246-2678. A couple of housekeeping notes here. First of all, congratulations to Zach Edey and Fletcher Lawyer. Yet again, now back-to-back weeks, named both Player of the Week and Freshman of the Week in the Big Ten. That's the first time that's ever happened in the history of the Big Ten where they've been handing out these awards, that the Player of the Year and the Freshman of the Year from the same team won that award in back-to-back weeks. So well done, Zach and Fletch. Also, quick note here, with Purdue football now playing on January 2nd in the Citrus Bowl in Orlando at 1 o'clock, that Purdue game at home basketball-wise against Rutgers has been moved to 7 p.m., so fans, make a note of that. January 2nd, your plate's going to be full with Purdue Athletics. You're going to have football at 1 o'clock in the bowl game against LSU, and then basketball rescheduled to 7 o'clock that night here at Mackey against Rutgers. So busy day, January 2nd. That'll be good for us to celebrate the new year with a lot of Boilermaker athletics on our plate. Matt Painter alongside us. We're talking Boilermaker basketball. We were talking free throw shooting before we went to break, Coach. And, man, I have to bring this up because I haven't talked about it enough, at least not with you. The fact that Zach Edey is at 75% roughly right now as a free throw shooter. He was 9 of 10 against Minnesota on Sunday. What a luxury to have. When I'll look at the numbers here. He drew 11 fouls against Minnesota, which basically par for the course. He gets fouled so often. If you're going to make 75% of your free throws and you're getting fouled that often, what a luxury to have.
Yeah, no question. And, and that's something, that happened a little bit last year. He didn't have that bad of a free throw percentage his freshman year, and then it dipped. I think he was high 60s, and I think he was high 50s or right at 60 last year. And now, it's just confidence in time. You're putting in time. He's always had a good stroke, so it was nothing, from a mechanical standpoint. His mechanics shooting the basketball. So he's always had a good shot. He's got a high arcing shot.
Yeah,
right.
So
when he shoots it, when he messes around, he shoots threes and he shoots on the perimeter. I mean, it's very fluid. He's always asking me about, since he got 20 rebounds, I always used to mess with him and say he could shoot a three. Well, you just got 22 rebounds.
We're going to have to hold up your end of the deal.
Yeah, we got to figure that out. But it looks good. Like when we make him shoot threes in practice, when we do some drill work, his shot looks good. So, a lot of times when you get guys that shoot 58% from the free throw line, their shot looks funky.
Right.
You're like, how's this going to go in?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you just try to break it down and work with them and help him with that. But he's never been in that situation being at Purdue. He's always had a pretty good shot. He just had to get more reps. It's amazing. You put in more time, you get better at it.
Yeah, amazing how that works.
Yes.
Could some of that be the fact that he didn't come up as a traditional, I use the word loosely, basketball player? He was baseball and hockey. Maybe no one ever had time to actually mess up his shot. He learned how to shoot correctly.
Right. Oh, there's no question. Just overall as a basketball player, he doesn't have bad habits. Now, I always talk about his job. His job offensively is easier than other people.
Sure.
You're going to go down and set a ball screen and dive to the rim, or you're just going to run to the rim.
Right.
We're going to throw you the ball every time. So
yeah,
it's a hell of a role.
And if you're 7'4", 300 pounds and are fairly skilled, that is probably a pretty fun role to have. This is the Matt Painter Show. It's presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network. More with the coach in a moment. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Talon Cooper, nice feed to Ola Joseph, and right there is Zach Edey to deny it.
Braden Carrington inadvertently caught his shoulder to the mouth down there, scrambling. Good duck in by, nice job, wonderful job in the post.
Kaufman again going on Ola Joseph, and that's his third and a chance for a three-point play for Kaufman-Rem.
Ola Joseph did a pretty good job of holding his ground, but watch his arms right here. They break down just enough. He did not maintain. They're both up there in the top 3 or 4 in the conference.
Wisconsin picked in the bottom third of the conference last year, ended up tying for a share of the lead of it. There's Kaufman-Rem, who was left alone. And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed, right? Because he had his hands up.
Say Braden Smith's done a nice job on Talon Cooper. Lawyer finishes the fast break.
Now they're rotating doubles. They're trying to give Edey a different look. Nice job by Payne.
Payne on the denial. Edey got it back and a chance for a three-point play.
Looked like they might have been able to stop the initial thrust, but how about the great hands and the chance for an and one?
Edey left alone. Oh, come on! Smith with no points today. Got a lot from Lawyer and, of course, a ton from Zach Edey. Jenkins just does beat the shot clock.
Welcome back to Walk-Ons, everyone. It's the home of the Matt Painter Radio Show all season long. This is a Tuesday night, obviously. We had to vary the schedule just a smidge because Purdue women's basketball, they were on the road last night beating Michigan State in overtime. So congratulations to Katie Geralds and her ball club. They start the Big Ten schedule 1-0. Tuesday night for this show. Tonight only we'll be back to our regular Monday night schedule come next Monday for a 6 p.m. start with Coach Painter. Back to the Facebook Live feed. A question from right here in the audience from Jim. Wants to know if you miss having to wear a suit on the sidelines coaching.
I do not. I do not miss it.
A little more comfortable in the
the
pullover and the slacks.
The Buster Browns.
And the Buster Browns.
There
yes.
you go.
Now I'll double down on this question. Do you ever see yourself, your staff going back to wearing the suits on the sideline?
No, sir.
I don't blame you.
No, sir. And there's nothing in the rule book saying that you have to. It was never that way.
Yeah.
So everybody just kind of did it. We had the Tom Landry look.
Yeah.
Without the hat.
Right.
That always threw me for a loop when I was a little kid. I was a Steelers fan, and it seemed like the world was a Cowboys fan. And Tom Landry was in that suit and that hat, thinking why? It doesn't make any sense. But you're great, Chuck Noll was.
Chuck Noll, I was going to say Chuck Noll didn't wear a suit.
No, Chuck Noll.
He had no problem beating those Cowboys. He wasn't
Steel
wearing
curtain.
a suit.
Franco.
We could go on for hours.
Come on, let's move to the Steelers.
Well, that would, yes, I would enjoy that. This is the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO, live tonight at Walk-Ons here in the Memorial Union. All right, Coach, I do want to ask about this. I know that, yes, tomorrow night, Wednesday night, it's Hofstra at home. We're stepping out of conference for one game, back to conference Sunday at Nebraska. But I would like to know this, just the overall start to this Big Ten schedule. I mean, man, what we've seen already. Rutgers beating Indiana. Michigan State losing at home to Northwestern.
Right.
For those who thought the Big Ten might be down a little bit this year, I'm not so sure it's going to be as competitive as ever. At least it looks like early on.
Yeah, and we've had some really good wins in our league. Obviously, the other night, Wisconsin, beating Marquette. Like tonight, Illinois got a chance to beat Texas. That's going to be huge. And, and then, Michigan State, Penn State tomorrow night. That's going to be a good game. Michigan State coming off that loss. Penn State, needs to get a signature win because they got a good team. Penn State has a really good team. Micah's done a great job, and they got a lot of experience. They got a lot of guys that can shoot. So they're going to be a tough matchup. But, no, it's It's a great league. You know, when you lose as many people as we did, you're going to have that. It's no different than our team, right?
Sure.
You look at our league and you say, they lost a lot, and all of a sudden you still got to play the games and be successful. And we've won some really good games. You know, Michigan State beat Kentucky. Like, you can kind of go on and on with some of the wins that we've had, you know, in our league. But we're the same way. Like, people will doubt what you have if it's just not known. Like, and so when you get to that point and you lose Jaden Ivey, Travion Williams, Sasha Stefanovic, Eric Hunter, Isaiah Thompson, when you lose 5 guys that played a lot for you, all conference caliber guys, people that like knew what they were doing, now your next guys are going to look at them like, well, they lost a lot, instead of saying, hey, they still have 5 guys that, you know, that are returning that were on the team. The 2 redshirt freshmen that they have are really good. The true freshmen that they have coming in are really good if you pay attention. But then they look at rankings, they look at different things that mean absolutely nothing. So, like, is this a surprise, kind of like where we are? Like, I would say it would be tough to say at the onset of the start of the season, saying you're going to go to the PK 85 and you're going to win it.
Sure.
Like, you know what I mean?
Sure.
You say, hey, let's go there and be competitive. And like, but like, that's what you do it for. That's why you play games. Like, you lay it on the line and anything can happen. And our guys were, I think more than anything that we had with Gonzaga and Duke, just how convincing our wins were.
Right.
You know, more than anything. But I've liked the toughness and the competitive spirit and the skill of our team. And then we do have a pretty good place to start. You know, we do have one of the best players in the country. And so sometimes that gets lost. Like, if you're a really, really talented guy but you don't make other people better, you know, you bring value to the team. You're one of the best players in the country, but you're not somebody that really makes people better. Well, Zach makes people better because he gets so much attention. He's unselfish. He passes the basketball. He can dominate the glass. You know, you got to put people on him. Well, that raises the value of people on our team and their ability to shoot and make decisions because people get in a lot of rotation. So, you know, I think our guys have just, you know, hung in there. And, you know, like I said earlier, we're not perfect. We're still not perfect. We got to keep getting better here. You know, you want to win your next game, right?
Sure. Yeah,
you want to win your next game, but you got to keep getting better. And then once some things happen or you take a loss or whatever, how are you going to react from it? You know, that happens to a lot of teams. Sometimes that loss helps a team. Sometimes that loss, you know, kind of leads to the next loss because guys can't get over that or they don't respond to it or they don't like their roles. So there's a lot of different scenarios and situations that happen throughout a year, and obviously it's a very long year.
We'll take a quick break. Chris, stay on the line. You'll be able to visit with Coach Painter when we return. It's the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO on the Purdue Global Sports Network, and this is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Talon Cooper, nice feed to Ola Joseph, and right there is Zach Edey to deny it.
But I really like the set by Minnesota, just the ability at 7-4 to impact the game so much on both ends of the floor.
Edey just took it away from Talon Cooper.
The chances of success were much greater.
Minnesota 1 for 8 from three-point land so far. Edey goes to work and finally gets one to fall.
He understands positioning as well as anybody in the country. Able to get over that left shoulder with the right hand, that's usually the result. He may have to be a little bit more of a scorer himself rather than a facilitator.
His first bucket of the game, a transfer from Morehead State. Nice move by Edey. And there's Edey over the top and one. Cannot defend it.
This is one where the undersized Samuels gets exposed. Right? Because he had his hands up.
Edey isolated on Pharrell Payne. Battled out with 11. He's hit 3 threes. All 3 of the team's threes. Edey went right to work on Ola Joseph. Inside again to Edey. Too easy for him.
Yeah, I mean, he ducks in. Ola Joseph.
Deep in the paint, Edey again. He's at his average.
Now they're rotating doubles. They're trying to give Edey a different look. Nice job by Payne.
Payne on the denial. Edey got it back and a chance for a three-point play.
Looked like they might have been able to stop the initial thrust, but how about the great hands and the chance for an and one?
Edey left alone. Oh, come on!
Everyone needs a little playing time, so before a Purdue basketball game or any time throughout the week, stop by Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union, where it's always game day with a taste of Louisiana. Of course, Walk-Ons, the host of the Matt Painter Show all season long. Let's go to the phones. Chris calling from Michigan. Chris, welcome. You're on with Coach Painter.
Curious about Trey Kaufman-Rand. I love watching him come into the game, but he doesn't seem to show as much emotion as everybody else. Is that just who he is? Not questioning the guy's passion, just curious.
No, that's how he is. He's a guy that's very competitive. He's a very good player. I mean, I felt terrible at Florida State just because of the way they were playing and what they were doing, and they went smaller, and then he didn't play very much. Then obviously Mason's back got hurt because Trey's a really good player, and he needs more than 6, 7, 8 minutes, whatever the heck he got. And that's why I enjoy being an assistant coach, and I don't like being a head coach because when I was an assistant, it was the head coach's fault. It wasn't my fault. But no, he's a great guy, and he's a hardworking guy. But he's just stoic. That's the way he is. He'd be a good card player. He just kind of keeps that same. But there's passion in there. He loves the game, and he's trying to help us win, and he's very selfless. But like when Zach's not in there and he's in there, you can see where we go with the basketball. He can score down there on that block, and he can do more than that. He can make open shots. He can wheel and deal a little bit with the ball. But I've been very, very pleased with him. He's worked extremely hard, and he really helps us coming off the bench.
Coach, what about tomorrow night? Hofstra coming in here. They're 6-3 on the season, but they have one of the best players in the country in Aaron Estrada. He was their league's player of the year last year.
Right.
21 points a game this year. He looks to be even better this year than he was last year.
Yeah, good player, good size, lefty. Can break people down and create for himself or create for other people. Very good passer. But he can get deep and got very long arms. Just can make plays, can make passes, can make shots, make pull-ups. You got to be there. You got to take up his space. But, he's very shifty. He's not a one-way driver. He's a guy that can go multiple, go left, spin, come back. He just has it on a string. So he's not their only guy. They have a lot of guys. Thomas is a guy that can really fill it up. He's a transfer from Sacred Heart. He can really score. He's averaging about 13 for him, but he averaged about 16, 17 last year for them. But they have a good team. They have good size. They have good skill. They have good athleticism. This is going to be a tough game for us.
They have 3 1,000-point scorers on their roster.
Yeah, they can score, man. Like when you watch them when you watch everybody on clips, like the coaches will show, our assistant coaches will show like clips, and then like everybody looks good. Because the only thing they show are the positive things. Right. But when you watch a real game and you go through the flow of a game and you watch multiple games, like now you really get to get kind of a taste of, how dynamic somebody is and how tough of a matchup they are. And then they got some tough matchups, across the board just because of their ability to score. And
I also say this for them. When you look at their league, the Colonial Athletic Association, over the last 4 years, they not only have the best record of any team in that league, but it's like a best record by a mile. I mean, they've dominated that league. Yeah, it's a good team.
Yeah, Coach Claxton's done a really good job, and they play hard. They're connected. You can just see it. Like you can watch teams and see like who's all on the same page just from watching film. And doesn't mean they're perfect, but you can see like those guys are on the same page, and that comes from really good coaching.
Our final segment of the Matt Painter Show presented by GEMCO when we come back on the Purdue Global Sports Network. This is Boilermaker basketball from Learfield.
Vacate a zone, then we're going to exploit it. First down at the 48. Jones, the other side now. Charlie Jones, first down and more. From the 38 this time. Play fake. O'Connell guns it. Wide open. Charlie Jones. And this time, it's Tracy. Hits the edge. Another first down. Tracy. The B lines up as the deep man in the I formation. They'll give it to him. Plowing forward. No signal yet.
I think that was Jenkins who makes the initial tackle. Yeah, that's 94. Oh, did he get that ball across, Gus? Did you see that ball pop across?
It looks like it did.
It looks like it.
And they run it. Iowa diving. Excuse me, Purdue diving. And that's 48. Play fake. O'Connell delivers. Caught at the Aiden O'Connell in the pocket. Oh, what a a strike. Aiden O'Connell throws a beautiful ball, and Purdue will take it all the way down. Finneran.
To Charlie Jones.
2nd and 6. Over the middle. And this ball is caught by Sheffield, who'll get out of bounds at midfield.
And then on Monday, he puts the list up and they check off everyone they got. He said it's amazing how many they check off each Monday.
This one caught Charlie Jones. And Jones out of bounds. Nice throw, nice catch. Behind O'Connell. Here they fake the pitch back. Maccabee with running room. Gets a first down and more. Maccabee hurdling. And it'll be down.
Welcome back to the Matt Painter Radio Show. Final segment here tonight from Walk-Ons in the Purdue Memorial Union. Thanks to GEMCO for once again being our presenting sponsor. Again, I know a little bit of an odd schedule this week with a Tuesday night coaches show, but we will be back at our normal regular Monday slot next Monday, 6 p.m. with Coach Painter, 6 o'clock next Monday. This reminder, Purdue at home tomorrow night against Hofstra in a out-of-conference battle. It's a 7 p.m. tip, 7 p.m. for the tip at Mackey Arena, and it'll be a 6 o'clock pregame show for us here on the radio network. Quick little note here, a little tidbit, a little nugget for you. If you remember last Monday when we visited, I mentioned that at the time I thought, and a couple of my colleagues thought, that when Mason Gillis scored 14 points against Gonzaga on that Friday night when we were out there in Portland, that was the most points ever scored by a Purdue player on his birthday. Well, I could not have been more wrong, and I say thank you to our listeners to this great show who quickly let me know via text or social media on my drive home last Monday night. And I'm not trying to be crass about that at all. I actually do appreciate the help. At least from our listeners, and I'm going to assume you're correct. I didn't do a whole lot of double checking, so I'm going with an assumption here that our listeners were right. Actually, Juwan Johnson holds that record. 17 points for Juwan when he celebrated his 20th birthday in a game against Illinois. Juwan Johnson, 17 points on his 20th birthday in a game against Illinois. And Troy Lewis should probably also be mentioned. Troy scored 15 points on, of all days, March 15th, which is his birthday, back in an NCAA tournament game back in 1987 against Florida. So Troy had 15, Juwan had 17, which is just a little bit better than Mason's 14. But if you'll remember last Monday, I said, I think I'm correct on this. I didn't say with 100% positivity, but obviously I was wrong, and so I thank you for that. A big thank you tonight to Ethan Sargent. He was our in-studio engineer at our Learfield flagship studios. Thanks to Gary Klein, who filled in tonight, audio engineer for Wes Scott. Again, tomorrow night, Purdue at home, 6 p.m. for the broadcast, 7 o'clock against Hofstra, and then Purdue on the road Saturday with a game at Nebraska. The Huskers are trending the right direction. That's going to be a tough one Saturday, folks, in Lincoln. That's a 2:15 tip-off. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday, everyone. Have a great rest of your week. We'll talk to you tomorrow night from Mackey Arena. I'm Rob Blackman. So long, everyone.